Hello, welcome back again to THEODICY Free. We have in the studio once again our own very own theologian. He has a doctorate degree. He has a PhD in eco theology. Once again, I just want to welcome once again Dr. Tayo Ogumefun to this third part of this discussion on theodicy. You're welcome, sir. Hello, sir.
Thank you very much, moderator. And as I've said, sincerely sorry for coming late and all the, technical issues we've been having. And I'm here today, whether the devil likes it or not, we'll talk about this theodicy.
Yes, sir.
Because somebody needs to have a very good understanding of what it means to be free from the crushes of the devil and all the false accusation. The theodicy is about the suffering, and from the Christian perspective, that is God responsible for the pain and the suffering of man. You understand? So before we had an issue, so why does God allow bad things to happen to good people was the question we were dealing with earlier. And then I said that a time needs to come that we need to ask ourselves serious questions. That for every action, there is a reaction, and upon that reaction, there is bound to be consequences. You understand? Now, humanity want good things. We want a life of comfort, a life of days. Advance in technology came. You understand? Unlike before, there was nothing like petrol, crude oil, and plane moving from one place to the other, pouring all manners of things into the atmosphere. And you see, all these are they're good. We enjoy it, but there are consequences. You understand? Humanity advanced. God gave humanity wisdom. They advanced, medication, tablets, injections, and all that to save humanity. But there are consequences of it as well. So all these are things that we're going to look into as part of the thing that constitute the issue of life. So when you begin to have the consequence of all that, are we blaming God for being responsible for all those things that happen? So, and these are some of the problem of, why do good people suffer, and at the same time putting the blame on God. So what we're doing today, not to defend God, because God is big enough to defend himself. So what we're just trying to do is to bring in some sort of explanation, and to let people see that a lot of issue that we're putting on God basically got nothing to do with God. It's got to do with you and I. Because, as I've said, you look at the ecological disaster. Imagine all the terrible things happening in part of the world. You now discover that the earth is reacting. You understand? That's what I said. When there's action, there is a reaction. So when Paul was writing in Romans chapter 8 verse 22, said we know that the whole creation groan. You understand? Groan and travail to pain. They groan and travail to pain. He said we know. But if you look at today's world, you understand? You see things that is going on in today's world. You see even some beautiful oceans and Antarctic, they begin to reduce in sizes. So what will happen? And humanity cannot survive without the environment. It is impossible to survive without the environment. And if we need the environment to survive, the environment is corrupted. You understand? So that's why in the Western world you have all this climate change that reduce emotion and all that. It's about, we see a lot of people with the breathing difficulties, asthmatic patients, and all that. So at what point is God responsible for all those things? Or humanity was responsible?
So our actions basically is, we cannot hold God responsible for our own actions. But what we do, you're saying we're getting some, basically the consequences of some of the things we're doing, and we cannot blame God for it. Let me just ask you, Doctor, again.
Yeah.
Let me. And the issue of free will. The issue of free will is so vital in this issue of theodicy. And can you just tell those that are watching again about this issue of free will and consequences?
Right, just like what we have discussed in the past. I don't want to serve a God, or I will have a problem with a God that just controls everything that I do. And thank God that the God that we have, you know, allow you to choose.
Yeah, choose. Choice.
What you want to do. Free will. That this is the good way, this is the bad way. The choice is yours. Which one you want to go, which way you want to go. And I have come to understand in life that you cannot have freedom, without having an abuse of that freedom. It is impossible to have freedom without having abuse of the freedom. Because at what point
are you going to stop?
You're going to stop? So, and you can see, as I mentioned earlier, what technology has done. You know, the more they advance, the curiosity is still there to do more, to do more, to do more. Now they're trying to artificial intelligence that gradually will begin to render humanity useless. So unemployment will be high because machine is taking over. Is it God that created the machine, or humanity decided to create all those machines? And these are some of the things that we have to understand, that God gave humanity the free will to choose life or death, to choose good or bad. So you are responsible for whatever you decide to choose, whether good or bad. But for whatever you decide to choose, either good or bad, there is a consequence.
Wow.
There is a consequence. For every action, there is a consequence. So God honored us, that He gave us an amazing gift, an amazing gift to choose life and death, to make our own decision, to decide where we want to go, how we want to go. Supposing that God tell you this is how you can sleep, we should not sleep this way. How many people will be telling about 8 billion people in the world what to do, what not to do? You understand? So I don't want to serve that kind of God, but thank God, God is not like that. You know, so the foundation is laid that this is the good way, this is the bad way. It's like the same way you and I train our children. You tell them the good things, what to do, what to not to do, how to be nice, how to be friendly, how to be honest, how to be faithful and sincere. But guess what? When they leave the home environment and they are in another environment with their friends and so on, or their peers, you cannot legislate about what they're going to do. So, and the consequence of that means that whatever happens, there's an abuse of that freedom.
Wow. Viewers, we hope you're enjoying this discussion. I'm really enjoying it. It's really interesting, very interesting discussion. Theodicy.
One second, moderator. Let me ask this. Thomas Aquinas. And this is what he said. He said, moral accountability will be required if we all embrace free will. You understand? So accountability will be required because we already enjoy the free will and we don't want to be responsible, morally responsible. We don't want to be accountable for what happened. And that was what Thomas Aquinas is saying, that a time needs to come that we need to have what is called self-directive because of our consciousness, intelligence, and we have to be morally responsible for those things.
Morally responsible for those things. Wow. That's really that's really a powerful one. We have to be morally responsible. So if we say as God has given us this free will, and I love the issue of free will because as Doctor has said, we serve a God that allows you to choose for yourself. It's not pushing us at the back, or trying to be a control freak. And that was nice to hear that, Billy. And so let's look at the issue of evil regarding suffering, because suffering in a way, when we are suffering, at times it comes out like it comes out as a bad connotation. That's why even when we put out this flyer, people will wondering, why is the theologian, why does he want to tell us about about suffering? So let's look at this issue of does evil limits God's power?
Right. You see, sometimes as a theologian, we provoke you to reason, to think.
Yeah.
Not that we're coming from the perspective of knowledge, but we're just trying to provide probable answers.
Yeah.
Make one to shift a little bit from your position. Sometimes we think that our position of knowledge is permanent, is the best, until you begin to shift your position, learn from others. You see, your questions that does evil limit the power of God? We're talking about the Almighty here. We're talking about the creator of heaven and the earth. About the one who have the answers to all things. Then at the same time, we're also talking about a God that is so merciful and so kind. Was not the architect. We've agreed that in the last two discussions.
Yeah.
He was never the architect of trouble, of burden, of difficulties. But as a good father, you understand, he never takes his hands off the affairs of men. So, and that's why we have to understand that evil can never limit the power of God. If you agree that God is the all-powerful, the all-knowing God, the creator of heaven and the earth, so everything that happens, so they are answerable to his power. So if you are answerable to a particular power, then you are not powerful than that power. So which means God is powerful than the evil. But the evil too have a purpose, a role to play. Because sometimes we look at the fact that when evil happens, even though God was not the architect of it, was not part of it, but to show that the evil cannot limit the power of God, God tends to bring good things out of it. You understand?
Yeah.
He tends to bring good things out of it, and by bringing good things out of it, it's a demonstration that yes, this is evil, but I am still God. I can bring something good out of nothing.
Wow, that's a big one. God can bring good out of suffering. He can bring good out of suffering. So it's all good news in a way, because evil cannot limit God's power. Even in suffering, God still bring the very best out of the situation. Doctor, I've seen people, at times we've seen people ask you some of these questions, and I think it relates to this theodicy. Baby being born, and they have no reaction. They have why are they already getting some of the consequences? Maybe people have the baby and the baby dies, and can you is there any concept where we can explain that relating to this theodicy, sir?
Yes, we can, because if you see the way I've tried to look at the general concepts about who is responsible, the consequence, the actions that we take, a number of things, as I've said, that we tend to put blame. And it's human nature to say somebody is responsible for whatever misfortune that comes into a man's life. You understand? Because we tend to run away from that responsibility. I understand that, because it's human nature. I can get it. But the thing is, when you look at things that happen, the first thing first to the child, a number of questions need to be asked. I.e., what kind of thing happens to the parents, what is their gene? How are they conscious about their health? You get it? Now, God gave us wisdom to be able to live or to choose and to live a better life. Common sense will dictate. SS and SS that marries. You know that, or AS and AS that married. You know the problems of all that. You understand? You decided to say, love matters to you. I am going to go ahead, irrespective. There's no problem with that. But the problem is, you need to deal with the consequence of your action. You understand? But to an outsider who happens not to be there when these two people were making that decision, and decided to see the suffering of that particular child, will be wondering, but why? Why? Sometimes as human, you understand, we tend to put God in a terrible situation. That things you have foreknowledge, you know about, you want God to, all of a sudden, to change the whole situation all around. I'm not limiting God's power. You understand? Miracle happens. I believe in miracle. I know that God can see turn things around. But the thing is, you just have to accept that there's some decision that you made. And the consequence of that decision, you have to live with it. Wow. Do you understand? So the one I have serious issue with is this, that imagine recently in the United States, that you see someone walking into a school and decided to kill children 9 years old. Now the question is this: what have they done? What crime have they committed? Do you understand? So what have they done that you need to terminate their life? And these are questions that every parent will be asking. And you may not, no one will be able to give you an answer to those questions. But you look at it this way, the modern world will find a way to explain it. That was a mental health issue. But that mental health do not allow him to kill his father and his mother in the house. That mental health do not allow him, to decide to kill himself. He took the gun, he entered the bus, he made up his mind and who he was going to kill. The one that went to the bank where he used to work. You understand? Maybe because of his irresponsible behavior or inefficiency, he was sacked and he felt, I need to revenge, I need to kill people there. So at what point are we blaming God for all this? You understand? I can understand if you are a wife or a mother or a father of those victims. I can understand that it's natural to feel the pain. You understand? It's natural to feel the pain, to feel that kind of pain. But is God responsible? You understand? Is God responsible? Sometimes some of us will ask, okay, we want to put the blame on God, that God is responsible for all. When you wake up in the morning, do you talk to that God? Do you care for me that where you have to go out, not to go out, to sleep, not to sleep, to eat, not to eat, to carry gun or not to carry gun? Now, when you do not involve someone in all those actions, how are you blaming him for what happens? Did God tell you to go and buy a gun? You understand? These are some of the things that is natural. But if you cannot blame men, the guy that took the gun now left the parents' house to go and kill people. So they are not arresting the parents. You understand? But now they're not putting blame on the parents, but you are putting blame on God.
Wow.
I don't know if you see, these are the things, but I have a question that I think may be pertinent to ask me. Is that instead of asking why God allow us to suffer, could it be appropriate to say or to ask if pain is necessary, if pain is necessary, and if it has a purpose?
So let's look at that.
If pain is necessary,
let's look. If you're just joining us, I think we still have few minutes. Just if you are watching this live, this is THEODICY. 3, and this is the third part of the series. But we want to tell you quickly, go ahead and share this video wherever you're watching from. It could bless someone. Go ahead and share it. We're joining you live. Dr. OGUNMEFUN, a theologian, is in the house, and we have been looking at theodicy, and this is the third part. So go ahead, share this video. We have been having a very, very interesting time in the studio, and so let's go back to that question again, to that issue.
Okay. That instead of asking which one? Which question?
The pain. So
the issue of pain.
This pain is pain necessary?
Right. You see, I may likely say yes and no. If you have never gone through pain, you wouldn't understand what it means to go through pain. If you have never been sick, when they're talking about ill health, you will not understand. If you have never been poor, you will not understand what poverty really means. How poverty can make you to lose your senses, make you to forget, even when they ask you your name, you forget what is your name, because poverty can make you to be that. So unless you have gone through that, you wouldn't understand. And I will say yes as well, because there are some pains that draw us towards our goal. You understand? That draw us towards our goal. So, but I want us to understand that it was not the intention of God. Pain was never the intention of God. But you see, the pain as an offshoot of suffering entered the world through sin. That's an underlying statement. You understand? It entered the world through sin. Guess what? Our ancestors lived a life free of pain. They lived a life free of pain until, when I say our ancestors, Adam and Eve. You understand? They lived a life free of what? Pain. Until sin entered the world. The whole dynamics change. So also, when you were answering your question, pain also have a purpose. Because if you look at that Romans 8:22, that the earth was groaning and travail, then Paul, the author, you understand, of that particular chapter, also reasons. You can imagine thousands of years ago, he was able to visualize, and I'm sure the pain at the time was not as severe as the pain now. You understand, to see what the world was going through then. So at the same time, he was able to come to and understand that even in that, you understand that something good can still come out of it. Something great can still come out of it. So Paul equates the groaning and suffering of the creation to a period like a childbirth. You understand? When mothers have been there, when my children were being born, you understand? So you can see the pain of mothers. You can see the agony. That is a severe pain. The moment that child is born,
there's joy.
There is joy. Paul said the groaning is like a childbirth. You understand? How come it compared like a childbirth? He say like death.
So it's just for a season.
He said for a season. You understand? Death is permanent, but childbirth, pain, is for a season, a period. Thereafter, joy follows.
Wow. I think we're going to leave this. We're going to talk more about this, but we're going to leave it to THEODICY 4, because this is you mentioned there that Paul, the way he referred groaning to he didn't refer it to death, which is very, very interesting. So basically, in THEODICY, something good can come out of THEODICY.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want viewers, as if you're watching us, we're going to have THEODICY 4. And I think we're probably going to start THEODICY 4 from this issue, because it's very, very interesting the way you talked about groaning and it's just for a season, and and God can even bring good out of pain.
Yes. Let me give another analysis. You see, sometimes when we want to get married, we choose partners.
Yeah.
Maybe, well, you have a structure. It must be tall. He must be intelligent. The phonetics. He must have English accent or posh accent.
Yeah.
He must come from particular background. You understand? You must be able to earn this, X amount of money. You put all that together. But the thing is, you never thought about the character. You never thought about the background. So a number of things that we never look into. We went into that marriage. Then along the line, the marriage collapsed. So you went through pain. Right? It's painful. Divorce is painful. It is painful. But thereafter, you may likely need to sit down, you understand, and ask yourself serious questions. Are there no lessons learned from it? You understand? Now, if you look at the story of Jesus too, you discover that the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Jews of the time that persecuted him, you understand, they thought that by killing him, you understand, the end has come to the ministry. Yeah. But that was one of their greatest error, because instead of his ministry to come to an end, the ministry started to blossom. Yeah. So, which means in the pain that Jesus went through, there were good things that came out of it. Out of the good things that came out of it is the benefits that you and I enjoy today as a believer.
Yes.
As a believer.
Yes. Wow. This theodicy is really is interesting, and I like the way you have been able to give us the theological concept of it, and it is really interesting. We'll have to do part 4, and I hope you'll be available, sir. Of course.
Well, this is God's work. So whenever I'm called upon to do God's work, I never run away from it. Yeah. As long as there is breath in me, I will always do that. I will bring glories to His name. Amen. Because the discourse in the last 2 episodes, including today, one thing I find common in all this discussion is that how people deal with issues is different. How we deal with problems is different. What you think as a problem may not necessarily be a problem to me. Yeah. But we do not try to, to look down on what people were going through. You understand? But also, you have to understand that we have a way of dealing with issues. And so we deal with issues in a different way. And one you may likely say hardship to other people may not be hardship to somebody else. You understand? But what really is not that it's not an hardship, but this person is got what it takes. You understand? To deal with issues. That situation, that whatever they're going through, they have what it takes to deal with it. And as a believer, we've been encouraged that whatever the situation is, that we take it to God. Yeah. Because what you cannot fix, then who else is going to help you to fix it? When one is sick, then you seek a doctor. You go to doctor to fix you. When your car is not functioning very well, you take it to the garage so that they can look into it and fix it. So likewise, if you're not feeling well, when I mean well, not well in terms of health-wise, you understand? Maybe spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, then you need to take it to God because He can fix it. And you can see the way He fixed Joseph, because that's a very good example too. You understand? Even though he carried this glory that he was going to, he was going to be a man that will rescue his family, rescue the community from famine and all that. But that only came to pass through all the pain, all the suffering he went through. And out of it, the mission, his mission still came to fulfillment. But that now depends on how he handled it. You can see the way he handled it. When it comes to Potiphar's wife, he could have corrupted himself to do exactly what Potiphar's wife wanted him to do. Then when he was in prison, he could have decided to say, you guys are going out, I will remain here. No, it's not going to be possible. I'm not going to do anything about it. You understand? So, and guess what? When he came out of the prison, he became the prime minister, all things were in his care, he could have decided to punish his brethren. But he did not, because all those circumstances led him or helped him to get to where God wants him to be. He was able to fulfill his vision or his purpose. So you can see that Romans 8:28, came to pass in the life of Joseph. That all things happen
for God, for good, for our good. We just want to thank you again for joining us this evening. What we've been able to establish in Theodicy Part 3 is, just like the doctor said, we are just trying to add a theological argument to this issue of suffering, and we're just bringing in a lot of nuance to it. The doctor talked about, the even in suffering, God brings the good out of it. Also, one of the things you mentioned as well was, trying to it's more like apologetics and trying to see how our free will, has to do with Christian suffering. So finally, sir.
Yes.
Let's wrap today's edition up, because we'll still bring it. We are still coming, because the topic is so huge.
Yes.
It's so huge, and the series will go for quite a while. So let's wrap up to today's. What do you want to finally give our viewers?
Viewers, this is my take that I want you to look into. That in the last 2 episodes, we have, including today, we've been able to establish that everyone has trouble. We face problems, affliction, suffering, hardship. But it has nothing to do with God. And that's why I'm giving you this scripture to go with. Job 14, verse 1. Job 14, verse 1 says, man who is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble. You understand? It's of few days and full of trouble. If you look at it very well, for those who understand the story of Job, he was on his own. The devil brought the problem. And he had to go through with it. And the devil is only after one thing: your salvation. And to make sure that you lose it. So Job was able to stand the test of time. And thank God for Jesus now, that we have the one who we can put all our burden on. And that's why the scriptures say that come unto me all ye that are heavily laden. That is those of us that are troubled, that we should put the burden on him. So understand the fact that suffering is bound to stay. It's not going to go away. Hardship is not going to go away. So we have to live with it every day of our life. Some are something that we make possible by our irresponsible behavior. Some are made available by the corporate responsibility. So some are made possible by the foolishness of other people. And you cannot legislate against what others are going to do. Now, there is a war going on in Ukraine. Now, Russia, Putin as a man, everything borders on Putin. If you want to stop it today, he will stop. He said, I don't want war again. The war will stop. But he decided to. And guess what? In Ukraine, there are many Christians who have lost their life, who have been homeless, who have been, whose possession and everything have gone just like that. Now, such people, how do you tell them? What are you going to tell them? Are you going to say they have not been praying? You understand? So at the end of the day, Was God responsible for that war? Then another question is that, okay, why Christians do not pray so that God can minister to Putin and stop it? When somebody is possessed by the devil, you understand? And you never know, you can see the pain at the moment, but we never know what is going to become the likely consequence tomorrow. The consequence to the one who orchestrated the war, and the goodness of God that is going to happen to a nation of Ukraine because of what they have gone through. We don't know, but we just have to understand that man who is born of woman is of few days and full of trouble.
Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you, viewers at home, for joining us this evening again on Impact Royal TV. We're joining you live from United Kingdom, and we've had an amazing time in the studio today on this. Is a very interesting topic, theodicy, and we are on the third part now. And I want you to look out for the fourth part, because the series is going to go on for a while, because Doctor has so many approaches. It's just like you said, it's not about trying to be so academical. We are just trying to add our own argument and try to expose us to some of the issues regarding suffering, so that we become more aware of these things. So finally, we just thank you all for joining us today, and we hope that you had a nice time, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, moderator. Let me leave this with you again, that when next we're going to deal with THEODICY 4, we'll examine several reasons why people suffer. That will have to be a way forward. Now, we've been talking about looking at the problem, origin, do you know how it happens? Then we can now look at reasons why people suffer.
Wow.
Because when you now look at reasons why people suffer, maybe they need to, run away from those reasons, so that those issues, so that they'll be able to reduce the suffering.
So let's tell them goodbyes, because we can be here, because it's really interesting, and we can be here all days talk about this issue. Let's say goodbye to our viewers.
All right, viewers, wherever you are in any part of the world, I really want to appreciate you. I want to say thank you for joining us on Impact Royal TV. Can I just ask you to do us a favor? Subscribe on Impact Royal TV on YouTube. There are so many programs comes on this platform, not just on THEODICY alone. We have various programs on this TV station. So join and subscribe, and press the notification button. Whenever program is on, you can be notified. So I want to say thank you for being part of the process. We love you, and I also want to say to Evangelist here, the moderator, for his loyalties, his faithfulness, his dedication, and the Spirit of God upon his life, and the willingness to know more of him. So thank you for bringing me.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank
Good
you,
to
sir,
see
for
you.
Coming in. Thank you, viewers. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye.